Hi guys, it's Charlie here and welcome back to my vlog. This week we will be looking at issues involving limitations in skill and capacities in speed and agility. We will focus on limitations in the acceleration phase of speed and the deceleration phase of change of direction. I will advise on useful training drills to help develop these limitations and also some relevant coaching cues where appropriate. I hope you enjoy it. Here we have Athlete 1, an under-12 national level tennis player. Through his national tennis camp profiling and match observations, it was deemed that he needed to work on his acceleration. Here we can see the athlete performing a 5-metre acceleration test. Now if we slow down the sprint to help us analyse the movement further, we can see the athlete attains good triple extension, which is useful in the drive phase. He has a good knee drive and a good arm split, with his head staying nice and steady. However, when we analyse a freeze frame, we can observe that his body is slightly more upright than would be considered optimal. This is due to the athlete's lack of ability to produce force, meaning if he was to lean forwards at an angle that we would deem optimal, he would fall over or he would have to flex at the hips to allow his torso to lean forwards, resulting in energy leaks. This is highlighted when the athlete is cued to begin his sprint using a falling start, resulting in no improvement in body angle or lean. In order to try and improve this athlete's force production, essentially the athlete needs to get stronger and be able to transfer that strength into a horizontal movement pattern. There are many ways to approach this problem, and here we can see the athlete performing a basic body weight isometric squat hold. This athlete has no access to a gym facility and therefore is slightly limited in his exercise selection. This exercise will allow a build-up of strength foundation to assist in force production. The next exercise here is a slightly more advanced but still bilateral seated squat jump to help develop lower body power. We can also use an overhead med ball throw to develop this, as shown here. Please note in both these exercises the triple extension at the ankle, knee and hip to aid the athlete when he is pushing the ground away from him as he accelerates. Now to move on to some unilateral strength and power work. Here we have a med ball throw with the emphasis of driving the back leg and working on his first step. The next variation we see is a TRX sprinter start, where the athlete recoils the leg to conduct multiple explosive movements in a row. Finally, here we can see a resisted running drill. This drill will allow the athlete to lean slightly further forwards towards our optimal angle while not falling over due to the resistance. This will also allow the athlete to overload the sprinting pattern and induce a high dynamic correspondence. Moving on to athlete number 2. Here we can see a slow motion video of her sprinting from a stationary start. We can see that she too has a relatively good arm split, and this time we can see a nice forward lean. If we replay the video and focus on her knee drive this time, it is evident that there is not sufficient knee or hip flexion, as we can see from this still shot. If we compare those angles to this isolated picture, we can see that the athlete does have sufficient active range, however, she lacks the skill required to use this while sprinting. One strategy I've used to improve this is to incorporate some knee drive elements into the athlete's gym-based program to assist in creating a habit and developing myelin to help the movement become second nature. Another strategy is to work on some running drills such as these A skips that I'm demonstrating here. This drill encourages a good knee drive and also promotes an efficient foot strike. As we can see here, this athlete struggled with this drill and thus the exercise was regressed and performed against the wall. This will be built back up in the coming weeks as technique improves. A further strategy to improve running technique and knee drive is to break down the movement. Here, the athlete is performing repeated wall drills with the focus to keep a nice forward lean, with each stride seeing a triple extension in the back leg and a full triple flexion in the front leg. By holding onto the fence, she is not only supporting her body weight, but also reducing the additional coordinational burden of synchronizing her arms. Progressing this drill on now into a more dynamic movement. Here, the athlete is performing the same drill but across the pitch. The focus here is not one of force production, and thus the speed of travelling from A to B is not important. The focus is of the speed of the limbs, ensuring full flexion of the front leg and full extension of the back leg. It is worth noting that there appears to be a slight negative transfer of her arm drive from the wall drills. However, as she became more familiar to the drill, and with the help of some cueing to remind her to run normally, this returned to normal. Moving on to change of direction now, here is our tennis player performing a simple tennis-specific change of direction test. We can observe a shift in his centre of mass towards the new direction of travel and a good use of foot contact to assist in his decelerating. However, it has been observed by the analysis of testing results and on-court performance that this is an area that needs development, as we can see from this scatter chart with our athlete highlighted in red. In a short change of direction test such as this, acceleration speed is vitally important. However, we can see here that the relationship is non-linear and acceleration is only one aspect of change of direction. If we analyse the footage more closely, we can see as the athlete plants their foot to turn, there is a large amount of flexion of the knee, where forces are being absorbed rather than rebounded, which would increase the speed. It is clear that this athlete lacks the strength to do this, thus we will go through how to develop this to improve his ability to decelerate. This is highlighted further here with the athlete performing a series of bilateral pogos and the prominent knee flexion evident throughout. Even though the athlete cannot perform this movement perfectly, it is still a beneficial training tool, with the focus being to dorsiflex and plantar flex at the ankle only, while maintaining relatively good hip and knee extension. Moving on to other deceleration training drills, here we are working on the athlete's eccentric strength on contact with the floor as he lands. The athlete here has been cued to land like a statue. We can progress this exercise with the athlete jumping from the box rather than stepping, and we can reintroduce the stretch shortening cycle by adding a further jump after the landing, as shown here. Finally, we can use the principle of overload to help develop strength characteristics by using a resistance band to facilitate supramaximal running, followed by a short deceleration period. This can be performed with both a linear and lateral deceleration, and can also be followed by a resisted acceleration afterwards to help the athlete change direction with intent, as would be required in competition. Here is our final athlete performing a simple 180-degree change of direction test. As we analyse the video, we can see that the athlete takes a long time to slow down from when the deceleration phase is initiated. This is made clear by a shortened stride rate and lots of foot contact as she approaches the turning point. There is a slight absorption at the knee again, however, when the movement is overloaded, this disappears, and we can also see from these pogo jumps that she has good muscular strength and stiffness, and that the issue here is skill-based. In order to develop this skill, we have decreased the difficulty level of the change of direction by reducing the angle and approaching from lower velocities, with the focus on loading of the outside leg. As we re-increase the approaching velocity, we can see that the athlete struggles to turn at a sharp angle, and also her foot placement is before the turn and thus will not be able to fully accelerate from the outside leg. The athlete was instructed not to think about the cone too much, as it is a trivial object. Then, when the outside leg was planted, to accelerate straight towards the next cone with no deviation. The drills were then progressed onto med ball throws, focusing on a slow entry into the corner with a strong planted leg and a low centre of mass in the turn before re-accelerating. The use of overloads such as the med ball and also resistance bands with this athlete working on the skill of turning was used to help her have the confidence in her lower limb strength that she can load the outside leg well. When taking the resistance band off again here, the benefit is highlighted by fewer steps into the turn with a strong outside leg to accelerate from. Thanks for listening to my vlog on skills and capacity limitations in speed and agility. We have progressed through limitations in acceleration and deceleration and combated these with training drills which I hope you have found useful. Until next time, goodbye.